It was good, boxing heads and fight fans around the world. B Marsh back at it with another fights we didn't get to see series. You know what I mean? Back at it with another series that I got over here on YouTube. Check me out on my playlist. Fights we didn't get to see. This is basically not no mythical matchup thing like, you know, who would win between Sugar Ray Robinson versus Floyd Mayweather, or who would win between Roy Jones Jr. or Michael Spinks. Nah, we just talking about fellas that should have been fighting and that were guys in the same era who for some reason or the other was supposed to fight each other, but the fight didn't materialize, you know what I mean? Somebody take you back to the late 80s, early 90s, you know what I mean? And we're going to be talking about the light heavyweight division. We're going to be talking about Quicksilver, my guy right here, Virgil Hill from North Dakota versus Michael Moorer. Michael Moorer, a guy from Pennsylvania. Michael Moorer is a former champion at 175, and he's also a champion at heavyweight, you know what I mean? So this is going to be an interesting topic right here. You know what I'm saying? It's been a while since I've done one of these, and that's Michael Moorer right there. For those of y'all who don't know who this guy was, you know what I'm saying? You can see him there with unified straps, two straps that he beat off of what's the guy's name, Evander Holyfield, you know what I mean? So, you know, these two guys were very good fighters, you know what I mean? And, you know, that's probably one of the most frustrating periods, probably in boxing, as far as champions who ain't fighting each other, you know what I mean? We talking about the late 80s, early 90s, talking about probably from 87 till like 1991. That's the era I'm talking about. 5-year stretch where we had the IBF champion, who was a champ from like 87 till 93. We talking about Prince Charles Williams. You know what I mean? Had a nice little reign over there at light heavyweight. You know, beat Bobby Ches in a classic light heavyweight fight. One of the best fights you'll ever see in light heavyweight division. You know, and defended his title numerous times. You know what I mean? And he was a champ from 87 till 93 when he went over to Germany and he lost to Henry Maskey. You know what I mean? Long-time champion out of Germany. You know what I mean? I believe Henry Maskey was also a gold medalist in the 88 Olympics. You know what I mean? So, and then we also had Michael Moorer, WBO champ. I believe he was a champ from like 88 till 91. You know what I'm saying? Was a champ at 12-0. When by his 12th fight, he became a WBO world champion. And then we're going to have Quicksilver, my guy right here, Virgil Hill. You know, he beat, who'd he beat? He beat Leslie Stewart, the man from Trinidad, who had had two classic fights with Marvin Johnson, great southpaw from the 80s, at light heavyweight, you know what I mean? Multiple champion, 3-time champion. He beat... Marvin Johnson was a 3-time champion at light heavyweight, you know what I mean? And Virgil Hill beat him. No, I'm bugging. Leslie Stewart beat him in Trinidad, you know what I mean? In the rematch. The first fight was in the States. Leslie Stewart got the fight in his home country in Trinidad, Port of Spain, and that fight was like on ABC. It was like an afternoon fight, you know what I mean? ABC, CBS, or NBC, one of those terrestrial TV channels, you know what I mean? And that's how Virgil Hill became the champion, you know what I mean? Virgil Hill was a champion at light heavyweight on 2 different reigns, 10 title defenses in each reign, you know what I mean? His first reign, he beat Leslie Stewart, then lost to Tommy Hearns. His second reign, he beat Frank Tate for the vacant WBA belt, and then he lost eventually to Darius Michikowski, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, this is an interesting fight, like I said. And then we can't forget about the WBC champ, who it was going back and forth between Dennis Andrews, a guy that Tommy Hearns had already beat, and tough Australian Jeff Harding, you know what I mean? So those are 4 champions right there, guys who never fought each other. And it's a damn shame because, like I said, you know, that era of light heavyweights was trying to, you know, was coming after arguably one of the greatest light heavyweight eras ever, you know what I mean? Those guys from the 80s with Michael Spinks, Dwight Muhammad Qawi, Matthew Saad Muhammad, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, guys in the middle like Slabadan Kaka. Then you got, you know, Bobby Chaz, you know what I mean, who got in the mix too when he beat Slabadan Kaka for that IBF strap, you know what I mean? So, you know, there was also Evander Holyfield, you know what I mean, who was there earlier, you know what I'm saying, but he jumped up to cruiserweight, you know, but he started at light heavyweight, you know what I mean? You know, what's that guy? Classic fight, Matthew Saad Muhammad and what's that Puerto Rican's name? Damn, I could see the fight right there. It was a fight of the year. What's that guy's name, man? Yaki Lopez, you know what I mean? So, you know, running through my memory bank here on all these classic boxers, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, basically about to talk about why this fight didn't happen between Virgil Hill and Michael Moorer, you know what I'm saying? Two very good fighters, you know what I mean? And, you know, it was a fight that eventually should have happened, in my opinion, you know what I mean? Because, like I said, you know, Emmanuel Stewart was the man training. He's the one who brought this guy, what's his name? Michael Moorer. There goes Emmanuel Stewart right there. He's the one who brought him into the mix, you know what I'm saying? He's the one who brought him into the Kronk gym, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, he turned this orthodox guy into a converted southpaw, you know what I mean? And, you know, this guy had a lot of success as a southpaw, especially at the light heavyweight division, where he was like 22-0 with 22 KOs at one point in time, you know what I mean? This guy was beating up everybody. You check it. Michael Moorer, though, to be honest, his reign at light heavyweight was okay, in my opinion, but he didn't really fight anybody of note, you know what I mean? The best name on his resume was Leslie Stewart. You check it. Leslie Stewart was a guy that had already been beat by Quicksilver, Virgil Hill. That's how Virgil Hill became a world champion, you know what I mean? But, you know, Michael Moorer was a very talented, you know, but he was an undisciplined guy, you know what I'm saying? You know, guys like Emmanuel, you know, he's gone through trainers like Emmanuel Stewart, Teddy Atlas, who else? Even Freddie Roach. He had Freddie Roach, and Freddie Roach was a longtime trainer of the man, Virgil Hill. Matter of fact, I think Virgil Hill was the first champion that Freddie Roach ever had, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, he came from the, what's his name, lineage, from the Eddie Futch lineage, Freddie Roach did, you know? So he got some good tutelage from you know what I'm saying, guys like Eddie Futch. But like I said, man, you know, the man had a long reign at light heavyweight, but, you know, he beat what's his name? He beat what's the guy's name? A guy from Jordan named Ramzi Hassan. He beat him for the world title, you know what I'm saying? And you know, this guy Ramzi Hassan was okay. You know what I mean? He was not a guy who was a legend or anything, but that's who Michael Moorer beat, you know what I'm saying, for the WBO light heavyweight title, vacant WBO world title. And that's a guy that, what's his name, Virgil Hill had gone the distance with, you know what I mean? This Ramzi Hassan from Jordan. You know, so, you know, he didn't really fight. A lot of guys he fought have like a 500 winning percentage, you know what I mean? Basically 50-50. Some guys have a losing record at light heavyweight, and these are the guys Michael Moorer was beating, you know what I'm saying, at his reign at light heavyweight, you know what I mean? Like I said, the best guy he faced was Leslie Stewart, and Michael Moorer eventually stopped him in 8 rounds, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, truth be told, this is when Michael Moorer fought Burt Cooper, man. Classic fight at heavyweight. Y'all gotta go check that fight out right there. But like I said, what's his name? Virgil Hill, he'd gone the distance with guys like that Hassan Ramsey guy, you know what I mean? But Virgil Hill was a very good fighter, man, you know what I mean? This guy, to me, you know, this guy was one of the most slept on dudes at one of the most slept on dudes from that 1984 Olympics, you know what I mean? Not a lot of people rated him even to win a title. I'm sorry, what you call it? A medal, you know what I mean? But he eventually got a silver medal. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, out of all those guys who came out that 1984 Olympics, he was the fastest to get a world title. You know what I'm saying? Before Mark Breland, before any of those guys, you know what I mean? You know, so Virgil Hill, man, he definitely was a very good professional, a classic amateur standout boxer, you know what I mean? And in the pros, you know, this guy was a master boxer, good defensive skills. This guy had a solid chin, you know what I'm saying? You know, Virgil Hill was a good fighter, you know what I mean? So what happened between this fight? Now, Emanuel Stewart and Michael Moorer did want to face guys like Prince Charles Williams. Dennis Andrews was in the gym already. He was already in the Crunk gym. So eventually that fight could have happened, you know what I mean? But Emanuel Stewart and them were targeting guys like Prince Charles Williams. And that's who they initially tried to get. But I'll do that. I'll talk about what happened in the negotiations for that fight in another video. Maybe eventually down the line I'll make a video for fights we didn't get to see, Prince Charles Williams versus Michael Moorer, okay? But long story short, in that situation, Michael Moorer was Prince Charles Williams was offered money, but the guy he reneged on the money that he was even given money up front by the man Emanuel Stewart. You know what I'm saying? He was giving money up front, but the guy, what you call it? He ain't never he didn't fight Michael Moorer, you know what I mean? The guy, Charles Williams, elected to go another route when guys like Emanuel Stewart had offered him some money, but, you know, even an advance of $40K. You check it, and he didn't take the fight, and Emanuel Stewart was pissed, and Emanuel Stewart wanted, was even eventually, I don't know if it happened, but he wanted to sue the man, Prince Charles Williams, for reneging on that particular, you know, on the negotiations, you know what I mean? So, Virgil Hill, like I said, man, very good boxer. Michael Moorer was a champion. That fight should have happened, you know what I mean? This fight should have happened. Well, they got into negotiations. They were negotiating. And Bob Arum, who was promoting the man, Quicksilver, Virgil Hill, you know what I mean? He gave Emanuel Stewart a call and told him that HBO wants to fight. You know what I mean? They want to pick up and buy the fight. And Emanuel Stewart said that the man Virgil Hill was going to make... Bob Arum said that the man HBO was offering the fight and was going to pay Virgil Hill $750K for the fight. And Michael Moorer, both of them were going to make their career high paydays, you know what I mean? But Michael Moorer was going to get $500K, you know what I mean? And they were willing to take that, you know what I'm saying? Because there was finally going to be a unification at light heavyweight. Like I said, man, between 87 and 91, there was no unification. And 91, 92, and there was a classic fighters at this weight class, you know what I mean? So, you know, I think it's a damn shame that these guys didn't get in the ring. But what happened between that, when the man Virgil Hill was going to make his highest payday of $750K, he was also in negotiations with the one and only Tommy Hearns. He himself a former champion in 87 when he beat Dennis Andrews, you know what I mean? Dennis Andrews, guy from Guyana, based out of England, but he also fought a lot in the Crunk gym, you know what I mean? Because he was trained by the man Emanuel Stewart, you know, and Emanuel Stewart said that was his best student ever, a guy who was willing to learn, you know what I mean? And unlike the man Michael Moorer, who was a kind of guy who was, Emanuel Stewart at times didn't get along with him. Emanuel Stewart said there was bicker about all kind of stuff, about Michael Moorer eating well, and you know, Michael Moorer, when he wasn't fighting at 178, he was walking around at like 210 pounds, you know what I mean? And you check it, the man, Emanuel Stewart would say they'd argue about stuff like Michael Moorer having to move his car out the driveway. Just little tedious things that are not, that are detrimental to a trainer and a fighter relationship, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, in my opinion, I think a guy like Michael Moorer was a difficult fighter to get along with. But, you know, he was a talented fighter. Like I said, he was knocking out everybody at light heavyweight. But he wasn't really fighting the top caliber fighters like guys like Dennis Andrews were and Charles Williams, you know what I mean? Even though Charles Williams reneged on the fight with Michael Moorer, You know what I mean? But man, like so like I said, Michael Moore was gonna make 500K, and Prince Charles Williams 750K. You know what I mean? But the whole time, Virgil Hill was also in negotiations for a super fight with Tommy Hearns. And at that moment in time, Tommy Hearns wasn't with Emmanuel Stewart no more. He wasn't in the Crunk gym. You know what I mean? You know, what's his name? Had wanted them to retire. Emmanuel Stewart wanted the man Tommy Hearns to retire, and you know, Emmanuel Stewart was the trainer of the trainer and manager of the man Tommy Hearns. But Tommy Hearns wasn't feeling that. You know what I mean? He still wanted to continue his career, so they parted ways. You know what I mean? So the whole time these negotiations are happening between Virgil Hill and Tommy Hearns, Emmanuel Stewart is not in the picture. You know what I'm saying? He's not in the picture. So eventually, Virgil Hill, 1991, he gets the call. He gets to fight with Tommy Hearns. And guess what? He's about to make his biggest payday. Not 750K like he was supposed to with the man Virgil Hill. I'm sorry, Michael Moore. He was going to get his highest payday as super fighter, and he was going to exceed $1 million. He was going to get $1.5 million. And Tommy Hearns was going to make $4 million. What would you do if you were a boxer? What would you do? Would you take this fight with the man Tommy Hearns, or for $1.5 million, or would you take the fight with the man what's his name? With the man Michael Moore for 750K, or Tommy Hearns for 1.5 million? I know what I'm gonna do. I mean, it's not. I mean, what's known is not even. You know, I don't even gotta say it. I'm gonna take that 1.5 million dollars. You know what I mean? But anyways, let's get into what would have happened in this fight. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, Michael Moore was a good fighter. You know what I mean? He was a good fighter. A guy who was cracking and knocking everybody out. But a guy like Virgil Hill was a master boxer. You know what I mean? Very good defensive skills. Virgil Hill had a iron cast jaw. He had a good chin. You know what I mean? You see guys like Leslie Stewart. That was, to me, the fight right there that showed me that, you know, Michael Moore probably would struggle with a guy like Virgil Hill, because, you know, Leslie Stewart got knocked out in the 8th round. You know what I mean? He got stopped in the 8th round. A fight he was struggling for basically 7 rounds up until the 8th. That's when Michael Moore, you know, finally got he finally stopped him. You know what I mean? And Leslie Stewart was a guy that, what's his name, washed. You know what I'm saying? That Virgil Hill washed. You know what I mean? You know, the guy Michael Moore, you know, was a kind of guy who would talk about, you know, he likes violence, he likes watching horror movies and watching violent movies, and likes to rewind to the gruesome parts. You know what I'm saying? But to me, that's what he said. But his character, even sometimes how he fought in the ring, didn't quite display that killer instinct he tried to front like he had. You know what I'm saying? And Virgil Hill, I just think, was a better boxer, better foot movement. You know what I'm saying? A guy who was a world traveler. You know what I mean? You check it. You know, a guy who went out to Germany many times, even when he was a cruiserweight. You check it. He went out to Europe many times. You know what I'm saying? And you know, one of the best light heavyweight reigns ever. Two reigns at light heavyweight with 10 defenses in each reign. You know what I'm saying? And I just think what's his name? Virgil Hill would stick behind his jab, would move a lot. His left hand was crucial. He's a guy who quadruples his jab at times. You know what I mean? Not the knockout artist like the man Michael Moore is, but I just think that the man Virgil Hill would pick Michael Moore apart. You know what I'm saying? I think he would. You know what I mean? Because really and truly, you know, Michael Moore was a guy who was undisciplined. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes he, you know, that showed in his fighting style. You know what I'm saying? You check it when he fought guys like Burt Cooper. Burt Cooper could crack for sure. You know what I mean? But the guy fought a wrong type of fight against Burt Cooper. Eventually knocked him out. You know what I'm saying? But I think the guy relied on his power too much. He beat up a bunch of nobodies at 175. And I think Virgil Hill was definitely the more he was the better fighter, you know what I'm saying? I think, you know, even when, you know, that fight with what's his name? With Tommy Hearns, the man Virgil Hill was the favorite to win that fight, you know what I'm saying? So that's how, what kind of skills people rated the guy with, you know what I mean? This guy was a vicious fighter, you know what I mean? He did lose the fight. I had that fight 8 rounds to 4 in favor of the man Tommy Hearns, you know what I mean? You check it out, and Tommy Hearns did rock the guy a few times. I believe like round 5, 6. I remember in the 11th round, Tommy Hearns rocked the man Virgil Hill, but Virgil Hill took them punches, and he stood up, and he ain't go down. The same Virgil Hill who washed James Kitchen, beat him in like 1 round, stopped him in 1 round, while the man Tommy Hearns struggled with the man and arguably lost that fight with James Kitchen. Although James Kitchen was on drugs, on steroids, you know what I mean? You know, he even dropped the man Tommy Hearns, you know what I'm saying? So I think Virgil Hill, man, would have beat the man Michael Moore probably by unanimous decision. You know what I'm saying? He'd pick him apart. And I think he'd probably beat him like 8 rounds to 4, 9 rounds to 3, you know what I mean? I think he'd box circles around him with the movement that the man Virgil Hill has. A lot of lateral movement. He's not quite the body puncher, but he's an accurate puncher, you know what I mean? And, you know, Michael Moore hadn't been in the ring with that caliber of a fighter, you know what I mean? Virgil Hill was the real deal, and, you know, it was a good look when the man, you know, I thought that the man Virgil Hill might have lost to guys like, what's his name? What's my guy's name? Lou Duval, the guy who dropped Roy Jones, you know what I'm saying? You know, I thought Lou Duval had the case of winning that fight, you know what I mean? But I just think that the man Virgil Hill, you know, this guy was a very underrated fighter, you know what I mean? I don't think he gets the credit he got. International Boxing Hall of Fame, they put him in the Hall of Fame, which was a good look, you know what I mean? This guy was a champion at also cruiserweight, you know what I mean? You check it, and you know, I just think his jab would you know, would offset that the man Michael Moore's skill set, you know what I mean? And Michael Moore would probably be trying to look for the big punch, but you know, I don't think he would be able to catch the man Virgil Hill clean, because Virgil Hill would employ a lot of movement, you know what I'm saying? And you know, I just think Virgil Hill was a better fighter, better amateur fighter, silver medalist, you know what I'm saying? You know, a guy who doesn't rely on power to beat an opponent, but who dissect an opponent, you know what I mean? So I got the man Virgil Hill winning this fight. Classic fight should have happened, you know what I'm saying? Damn shame it didn't happen, but both guys went to win titles in higher divisions. Like I said, Michael Moore, you know, he went on to beat Evander Holyfield, you know what I'm saying, for the 2 straps, WBA and IBF. Then he lost them to the man George Foreman. You know, truth be told, a lot of people know Michael Moore for that loss he had to the man George Foreman, you know what I mean? You know, and you know, the man Virgil Hill went up to the cruiserweight. He beat some European dude. I can't remember his name, you know what I'm saying? But you know, I think he had 2 reigns. I remember he beat Fabrice Tiozzi, you know what I mean, for that WBA strap. So he was a 2-time champion at cruiserweight, man. So big ups to him, man. So B March Boxing, leave your thoughts and comments. Let me know what y'all think about this fight and who you think's gonna win this fight. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. I got the man Quicksilver from North Dakota. In the Boxing Hall of Fame, I got him winning this fight, you know what I mean? B March Boxing, leave your thoughts and comments. I got a unanimous decision, 9-3, maybe 8-4 for Virgil Hill. All right, peace. I'm out.